Hey everyone, and welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that is absolutely going to reframe how you view success. We're exploring Cristiano Ronaldo, from zero to hero. We're going to look way past the global icon status, the fame, and the insane wealth, to uncover an origin story that is rooted entirely in sacrifice, isolation, and just immense discipline.
Seriously, what if I told you that one of the absolute greatest athletes in history was once just a skinny kid with worn-out shoes and an empty stomach? It's kind of hard to reconcile the billionaire superstar we all know today with a boy whose biggest daily challenge was literally just finding a meal, all while harboring a dream that everyone around him laughed at. But, that is exactly where the source material begins this story.
A boy who grew up in extreme poverty, who cried himself to sleep, who made the agonizing choice to leave his family at just 12 years old. But most importantly, a boy who absolutely refused to let his circumstances dictate his future. The source material presents us with this unbelievable masterclass in pain, unwavering discipline, and the sheer belief that no dream is ever out of reach.
Part 1. The Unlikely Hero, a story of sacrifice and discipline. We're about to dive into an incredible journey of unstoppable belief.
Poverty in Madeira, the ordinary world. Let's really ground ourselves in the harsh realities of where he came from.
Okay, let's dive into this timeline. The year was 1985. On the small island of Madeira, Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo was born. His early years were completely defined by severe poverty, where basic necessities like money and food were desperately short. This hardship forced him to grow up fast, leading up to age 12 when he made the absolute hardest choice of his life to leave home. You really have to look at his parents' lives to understand the reality of his upbringing. His father worked incredibly long hours as a gardener and a part-time equipment manager. And his mother? She worked as a cook and cleaned houses. All of this back-breaking, endless labor was just to keep a meager amount of food on the table. And honestly, even then, there often just wasn't enough to go around.
The family lived in this tiny, cramped house where privacy basically didn't exist. And the contrast here is fascinating, right? Inside this incredibly constrained physical environment where simply surviving was a daily struggle, this giant world-altering dream was quietly taking root.
Which brings us to an unstoppable obsession: chasing the ball. For Cristiano, soccer was his total mental escape. The game made him feel alive. Every empty street became his personal stadium, and every single neighbor was an opponent. From the moment he could walk, he chased a ball, trapping himself in this grueling cycle. He failed, he fell, he got back up. While other kids went home to rest, he stayed outside, living in a relentless loop of repetition and effort again and again. There's this great quote from the source: "Greatness always looks strange before the world recognizes it." People laughed at him. They called his obsession strange because they simply didn't understand it. They couldn't see the foundation being poured in those empty, cobblestone streets. Even at school, his heart belonged to only one thing: soccer. He had absolutely zero interest in being the smartest student in the class. Teachers constantly complained that he couldn't sit still because his mind was never on the lesson in front of him. It was always out on the field.
The ultimate sacrifice, the price of the dream. So, what would this incredible level of ambition ultimately cost him?
Now, what's really interesting about this is exactly what drove that obsession. The dream was super specific: score the winning goal, hear thousands chant his name, change his family's life forever. This wasn't just some casual after-school hobby, It was a massive, life-altering mission that commanded his every waking moment. But that dream demanded a massive price. 12. Just 12 years old. That was the price. To achieve that massive dream and pull his family out of poverty, he had to leave his home, his parents, and that tiny house in Madeira. Let the heavy reality of that age sink in for just a second. He paid a price most people would never be willing to pay.
So I'll leave you with this. Would you be willing to pay the price he paid at just 12 years old? It really forces us to reflect on the immense personal sacrifice required to achieve true, generational greatness. Before the world ever knew his name, he was just a kid making an impossibly hard choice. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.